Hello everybody and welcome. This is a simple guide on how to 3-man Crota. But before we start, this was done literally 1 hour after contest mode ended, so current damage strats might be different. Check the description for the most up-to-date strats. And with that out of the way, let's get started. We will start with classes and loadouts, and the only thing that is really mandatory is one well lock. This keeps the entire team alive during damage and increases damage itself. Outside of that, it doesn't really matter. We ran a Titan on Bonk Hammer for ad clear and healing grenades, a Hunter with Starters for damage, and had the Warlock do hot swaps to send attack for extra heavy ammo. And for damage, we ran 2 Acruses and 1 person on Tractor. Now, for the strat itself, unlike some other 3-mans which use glitches, this one simply uses the mechanic of the encounter, so I doubt this will ever change, though there might be slight optimizations. Again, check the description. For the sake of explanation, I will number each player, but in reality, anyone without the buff can take the buff from whoever has it, granted they don't have the debuff drained of light. Start the encounter and have player 1 pick up the buff, in this case it is Chisis. Kill boomers and ogres when they spawn. When player 1's Chalice of Light buff gets a 75%, call out and have player 2, which is me, go over to them and take the buff from them. Player 1 is now enlightened and should go pick up the sword to do damage on Crota. If you are running a tractor cannon, you can have that player also go with player 1 to do extra damage with the sword. When damaging with the sword, the optimal damage is jump heavy, super heavy. Often, however, Crota can deal a lot of damage, so I would recommend just doing jump heavy, super heavy, and then leaving. By this point, player 2 Chalice of Light buff will be filled, and player 3 can take it from them. In this case, player 3 is Dragon Dan. Player 3 now dunks the Chalice of Light in the podium in the back of the room, and player 2 picks up a sword. Once player 3's Drained of Light debuff reaches around 20 seconds, player 1 re-grabs the Chalice of Light from the podium. Once again, player 3 takes the buff from player 1 when the bar is full, and player 3 dunks the buff in the back of the room. You are now ready for damage. At this point, player 1 is enlightened, player 2 has a sword, and player 3 is ready for damage. It is better for the well player / the tractor player, in this case it was the same person, to not have the sword so they can place well / tractor as soon as possible. You have a lot of time for this encounter, so I take the time to kill boomer knights on the same side you do damage on, so in this case, left side, kill left boomers. When this is done, lure Crota to this side of the room, which is where you spawn, and get ready for damage. I'd have loadouts for ad clear with special funny and any other mods you want to run, and then a loadout to switch to with loader, surge, dex mods, etc. Have player 2 break Crota's shield, and you have around 30 seconds for damage. Do damage until you have 4 seconds remaining, and have player 1, who is enlightened, shoot the oversoul. This takes about 2 fusion shots to break. It is important to note that you can sometimes shoot through Crota as the player with enlightened and break oversoul quickly. So if you want to be safe, make sure you're damaging Crota towards the front of the room, which means you're looking away from the oversoul. The only thing that is different with the other phases is that the order shifts up 1 since player 1 now has Drain with Light. So essentially player 2 and player 1 switch. So player 2 gets first sword after player 1 takes the buff from player 2. Player 2 then does damage with the sword, and player 3 gets the buff from player 1 and then dunks it. Player 2, when player 3's Drains with Light buff is at 20 seconds, picks up the buff and gets enlightened. Now player 2 is enlightened, player 1 has a sword, and player 3 is still just ready for damage. Do damage and get ready for third phase. It's the same for the third phase, except it shifts back to the original order. Save heavy and well and damage supers for the final stand if you're within range, and you have cleared 3-man Crota. Some final notes: if someone with the enlightened buff dies, don't panic. They can switch rotation with whoever currently has the Chalice of Light buff. If someone with the Chalice dies, don't panic. They can pick up the buff themselves. If someone dies without either, it doesn't matter, just pick them up. This is a pretty intuitive 3-man since it's essentially just the original encounter with less people. So if something goes wrong, just think about the basics and you can save the run. You have a lot of time before Crota wipes you, so just keep a level head and you got this. If this video helped, leave a like and share with your friends for your runs, and good luck with your 3-man. Bye!